Hey guys, today I will be starting a new what if story. What if Yuji was an Uchiha? For this story, the Uchiha clan is going to be the fourth great sorcerer family which suddenly went extinct in the golden age of Jutsu during the Heian era after an unknown attack. With the story set, let's begin. Like normal, Yuji would live a typical life, going to school, making friends and living with his grandpa who he loved dearly, completely oblivious to the world of Jutsu. This all came to an end until one day, his grandpa became sick and was believed to not have long left to live, so Yuji would leave his school club early every day to keep him company. On one of these days, like usual, Yuji's grandpa would be relaxing in his hospital bed until he would suddenly be greeted by Yuji. Shocked, Yuji's grandpa would nearly fall out of his bed, asking Yuji when he got there, with Yuji saying he got here a few minutes ago and was just placing the flowers he got him in a pot. Yuji's grandpa would then turn his body away from Yuji, stating that he has always been light-footed like a ninja and reminding Yuji that he told him to not come to visit and instead have fun at his club. However, Yuji told him that his club activities ended early and he came because he wanted to. Yuji's grandpa would then tell Yuji that he is a strong boy, telling him to protect as many people as he can so that he will have many people around him when he passes, unlike him. With Yuji's grandpa dying as he finished his sentence. As Yuji stood beside his grandpa's now lifeless body, the weight of the moment pressed heavily on his young shoulders. The room was cloaked in a solemn silence, broken only by the distant sounds of the night. The old man's words echoed in his mind, urging him to save as many people as he could, a charge that felt both profound and daunting. A surge of emotions welled up within Yuji, grief, loneliness, and a determination to honor his grandfather's last wish. As he clenched his fists in anguish, a strange sensation coursed through his body. Unbeknownst to him, the dormant power of his Uchiha heritage stirred within. Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced through Yuji's eyes, causing him to gasp and instinctively squeeze them shut. When he opened them again, something had changed. The once brown hues of his irises were replaced by a vibrant shade of crimson. Lines of the Sharingan now adorned his eyes, and a rush of unfamiliar information flooded his mind. Confused and overwhelmed, Yuji struggled to comprehend the significance of this newfound ability. His gaze fell upon the lifeless form of his grandpa, and a mix of sorrow and anger fueled the awakening power within him. The room seemed to warp as he unintentionally activated the Sharingan, a visual manifestation of the mysterious and ancient Uchiha bloodline. In that moment, as if guided by some ancestral force, the words of his grandfather echoed in his mind: no other clan treasures love more than the Uchiha, Yuji. The Uchiha. The meaning behind these words remained elusive to Yuji, but the intensity of the emotions tied to them was undeniable. As Yuji made the difficult call to the nurses, his voice remained steady, but the pain in his eyes was evident. "He's dead," he said, the words heavy with grief. After placing the phone back on the receiver, he walked out of the room, leaving the silence behind, tears streaming down his face. The hospital corridor felt like a maze as he navigated through it, guided only by the distant hum of fluorescent lights. The weight of grief pressed on him with each step. Eventually, he found himself in a small office, facing the necessary legal documents for the care of his grandpa's body. His hands shook as he signed his name, marking the beginning of a painful journey. As he walked out of the office, the nurses approached Yuji with a mix of sympathy and concern. "Is there anything we can do for you?" "It's a difficult time, and we're here to help," one of them offered gently. Yuji, his voice breaking the heavy silence, responded, "I've never done this before. It doesn't feel real, but I know Grandpa wouldn't want me to be depressed. I'll keep smiling." The words hung in the air, a silent promise to honor his grandfather's memory with strength. After expressing his gratitude and refusing their offer for a taxi, Yuji made his way towards the hospital exit, the weight of grief still heavy on his shoulders. As he stepped outside into the cool night air, he felt a strange mix of numbness and determination. Amidst the dimly lit streets, a voice called out, "Hey, wait up!" Yuji turned to see a stranger approaching. It was Megumi, his gaze carrying a mix of curiosity and determination. "I'm looking for something. A cursed object. Do you have it?" Megumi asked, his tone direct. Yuji, confused, repeated, "Cursed object." Megumi, unfazed, showed him a picture of the cursed object. Yuji recognized it, saying, "I found it." "What about it?" Megumi explained, "It's dangerous. Every year, over 10,000 unexplained deaths happen in Japan, most caused by cursed objects." Yuji, still confused, repeated, "Curses." Megumi continued, "I don't care if you believe in them or not. But negative emotions build up in places like schools and hospitals, forming curses. That's why most schools secretly keep a cursed object as a protective talisman to ward off curses." Yuji, intrigued, asked, "Shouldn't they be grateful for it?" Megumi paused, urging Yuji to let him finish. He explained, "The cursed object has to be incredibly evil to keep weaker curses at bay. However, over time, their seals weaken, and they become a lure, attracting and strengthening other curses." Megumi then dropped a bombshell, "The one you found is classified as a special grade. Hand it over before people start dying." Yuji, taken aback, told Megumi that he didn't have it, tossing the box to him. Megumi asked urgently, "Where is it?" Yuji explained, "My friends have it. They're planning to open it tonight to see what's inside." "Is that bad?" Megumi's expression darkened as he replied, "It's way worse than bad. Your friends are going to die." The weight of grief that Yuji had been carrying shifted to a new burden, as he realized the danger his friends had unknowingly stumbled upon. At Sujisawa High, the atmosphere in the darkened halls became tense as Sasaki and Iguchi unwrapped the seal surrounding the mysterious talisman. The flickering light from their fire cast eerie shadows as they uncovered a finger within the talisman's contents. A sudden chill swept through the air as the fire extinguished, leaving them in darkness. Unbeknownst to them, curses began to materialize, lurking in the shadows. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the school, Yuji felt a strange pressure in the air, an ominous weight that hinted at the unfolding danger. Megumi, sensing the impending threat, asked Yuji to stay behind. However, Yuji, fueled by a desire to rescue his friends, insisted on joining the fray. The young Jutsu student sternly demanded that Yuji stay behind, emphasizing the dangers within. Inside the school, Sasaki attempted to evade the newly spawned curses that now roamed the fourth floor. Iguchi, appearing beside her, revealed that his head was being taken over by a small curse. The attention drawn by this struggle attracted a larger curse, which attacked Sasaki from behind. Megumi, having entered the building, confronted yet another curse. Demonstrating his jutsu skills, he summoned his divine dogs and commanded them to feast on the enemy, dispersing the immediate threat. Outside, Yuji stood, torn by hesitation. He pondered the fear he felt, realizing that he was afraid of death. However, a realization struck him: when his grandfather passed away, he faced death without fear. He questioned the differences between the deaths he now faced and that of his grandfather, recalling the old man's words about helping others. The weight of his grandfather's last wish echoed in his mind, guiding Yuji to confront his fears and find the courage to step into the darkness for the sake of his friends. Inside the building, the number of curses continued to grow as Megumi and his divine dogs fought through them, attempting to rescue the students. Turning a corner, Megumi discovered a horde of curses that had merged, threatening to consume both the students and the cursed object. Realizing he wouldn't make it in time, a sudden crash echoed through the fourth-floor window as Yuji burst into the scene. Yuji, driven by the wrongness of this type of death, utilized his superhuman athleticism to swiftly rescue his friends, allowing Megumi's divine dogs to devour the curse. Megumi, impressed and somewhat perplexed by Yuji's sudden intervention, acknowledged the unexpected assistance. Yuji, fueled by a desire to prevent the tragedy unfolding before him, had acted swiftly to give his friends the chance at a proper death. After the chaos settled, Yuji, catching his breath, asked about Megumi's divine dogs. Megumi explained that they were his Shikigami, creatures summoned through Jutsu. He mentioned that Yuji was able to see them thanks to his experiences that night. Yuji, admitting his fear, explained that he acted to prevent the tragedy and give his friends a chance at a proper death. As Megumi prepared to reclaim the special-grade cursed object Ryomen Sukuna's finger, a sudden attack from above caught them off guard. Megumi pushed Yuji out of harm's way but ended up captured by the curse. Despite his efforts to summon another Shikigami, the curse pummeled Megumi and tossed the young sorcerer through the wall to the outside. In the aftermath of the attack, Megumi's injuries resulted in the dispelling of his divine dogs, leaving them both vulnerable to the looming threat. As the curse closed in, ready to deliver a fatal blow to Megumi, Yuji, driven by an instinctual surge of power, jumped into the fray. Unbeknownst to him, his Sharingan activated, enhancing his kinetic visual prowess. With inhuman speed, Yuji dodged and countered the curse's attacks, managing to inflict a small amount of damage. However, the curse quickly healed, and Yuji found himself caught, unable to escape. Losing ground in the battle, Yuji nearly dropped the cursed finger into the curse's mouth. In a desperate move, he caught it with his own mouth and, driven by the need to save everyone, decided to eat the finger. The cursed energy surged within him as he swallowed the finger, and the power of Ryomen Sukuna began to incarnate. Despite Megumi's misgivings, Yuji, now infused with the power of Sukuna, effortlessly killed the curse. However, Megumi's concern deepened as he realized that this was the actual worst-case scenario. Ryomen Sukuna had been reborn and, with a desire to kill all of humanity, posed a grave threat. Yet, to Megumi's surprise, Yuji managed to regain control over his body by suppressing Sukuna's influence. In the midst of this internal struggle, Megumi prepared to summon a Shikigami, proclaiming his determination to exorcise the cursed Yuji Uchiha. As Megumi grappled with the dilemma of whether to trust Yuji, his sensei, Gojo, arrived on the scene. Gojo explained that the elders were making a fuss about the cursed object, and he had stopped for souvenirs before checking on Megumi's progress. Yuji, gesturing with raised arms to signal no harm, expressed the urgency of getting to a hospital, but Megumi remained unsure if it was a trick. Gojo, the carefree and powerful Jutsu sorcerer, found it hard to believe that Yuji had eaten the cursed finger. Examining Yuji closely, Gojo realized that the fusion with Sukuna had indeed taken place. To test Yuji's control, Gojo asked him to switch with Sukuna for 10 seconds while Megumi held his Kaiku Fuku, a Sendai specialty. Megumi was taken aback by his teacher's seemingly careless approach. As Sukuna took control, Gojo effortlessly evaded all of his strikes with incredible speed. Gojo then showcased his prowess by hitting Sukuna with several uncanny attacks, demonstrating the vast difference in power. Sukuna, acknowledging the strength of Jutsu sorcerers in every era, attempted to finish the fight, but Gojo easily repelled the curse's attacks. Counting down the final seconds until Yuji would regain control, Gojo, surprised by the ease with which Yuji reclaimed his body, decided to knock him out. Turning to Megumi, Gojo explained that if Yuji could awaken as himself after such a test, he had real potential as a vessel. Despite knowing that Yuji should be executed under the rules of Jutsu, Megumi pleaded with his teacher not to allow it. Gojo promised to fulfill Megumi's request and later brought Yuji up to speed in a room filled with seals. Bound to a chair, Yuji learned that the elders had initially decided to execute him, but Gojo was able to persuade them to suspend the sentence. Recognizing Yuji's potential as a vessel for Sukuna, Gojo convinced them not to execute him until he had devoured all 20 fingers. Yuji, understanding the gravity of the situation, agreed to become a sorcerer and undertake the task of consuming all the fingers to protect as many lives as possible. After being released, Yuji visited Sasaki and Igachi in the hospital. Sasaki, burdened with guilt, blamed herself for the incident as they both sat by Igachi's bed. Despite the doctors believing that Igachi was in stable condition, he hadn't regained consciousness. Yuji explained the harsh reality of the situation and took the blame upon himself. Before leaving, he assured Sasaki that a sorcerer would come by to heal Igachi. Outside the hospital, Yuji met up with Gojo to discuss his decision. He asked about the casualties involving curses, and Gojo explained that people were lucky to die a normal death after encountering a curse. Together, they traveled to the morgue, where Yuji collected his grandfather's ashes and consumed a second finger. Gojo awaited the anticipated chain reaction as Yuji struggled, seemingly influenced by Sukuna. However, much to Gojo's surprise, Yuji was simply grappling with the repulsiveness of devouring the finger. In this struggle, Yuji demonstrated a unique talent, the ability to control Sukuna, a feat unseen in the Jutsu world for 1,000 years. Despite his reluctance to face execution, Yuji resolved to fight curses and help assimilate all of Sukuna's fingers. Following this decision, Gojo instructed Yuji to pack his bags. Curious about their destination, Yuji received an answer from Megumi, who entered the room after being treated for injuries. Before leaving, Yuji bid farewell to his grandfather, and together with Gojo, they traveled to the mountains of Tokyo where Tokyo Metropolitan Jutsu Technical School was located. Disguised as a religious private school, Jutsu Tech was a crucial institution in the Jutsu community, serving as a base of operations for sorcerers even after graduation. Before Yuji could be accepted into the school, he faced an interview with the principal, who had the authority to order his execution. Disappointed that Gojo was in charge, Sukuna manifested a threatening mouth on Yuji's skin, vowing to kill Gojo once in control. Unfazed, Gojo expressed his readiness and shared the origin of Sukuna. When asked who was stronger between them, Gojo confidently proclaimed himself. Arriving at the principal's office, they encountered Maizamichi Yuga creating cute puppets. Yuji introduced himself, and the principal probed deeper, asking why Yuji wanted to enroll in Jutsu Tech. Unsatisfied with Yuji's initial response, Yuga explained the harsh realities of being a sorcerer and emphasized the need for a personal, motivated drive. As Yuga's cursed corpse doll attacked Yuji, the principal sought an acceptable answer. Yuji, realizing he must stop Sukuna to live without regrets, grabbed the doll with brute strength, impressing Yuga. Acknowledging Yuji's determination, Yuga accepted him into the school and asked Gojo to show him around. Gojo guided Yuji to his dorm, questioning his readiness to fight. With Sukuna inside him, Yuji became a vessel and a locator for the remaining fingers. Exiting the dorm, they encountered Megumi, disappointed that Yuji would be living nearby. Gojo revealed their plan to pick up the third first-year student, Nobara Kujisaki, at Morioka Station the next day. Outside the Harajuku train station, Yuji and Megumi wait to meet her. Yuji wonders why their class is so small and questions whether he was the third first year to arrive at the school. Megumi explains that the new student's acceptance was granted a while ago, and Jutsu students are rare. Gojo arrives and compliments Yuji on his new uniform, custom ordered with a hood. By Nobara's request, they are set to meet in Harajuku. Noticing a man scouting models, Nobara angrily requests to be interviewed. Gojo calls out to her, and she's freaked out by his strange blindfold. After putting her things in a coin locker, she introduces herself as Nobara Kujisaiki, adding that the boys are lucky to have her as the woman of their group. Yuji and Megumi introduce themselves, but Nobara remains unimpressed. Gojo suggests they take a tour of Tokyo since they are all together for the first time. Expecting an extravagant tour of Roppongi, Yuji and Nobara are surprised when Gojo brings them to an abandoned building close to a cemetery where a curse has taken over. Megumi explains how associating fear with cemeteries can bring about curses, but Nobara interrupts to ask how it is that a Jutsu student doesn't already know this. She learns that Yuji swallowed Sukuna's finger and is grossed out by it. Gojo reveals that this is a field test for Nobara and Yuji. He gives Yuji a cursed tool called Slaughter Demon and restricts him from using Sukuna's power. Tasked with eliminating all the curses, Yuji and Nobara head inside the building together. While searching together, Nobara orders Yuji to search downstairs while she heads upstairs. Despite his disagreement, Nobara doesn't take no for an answer and kicks Yuji away. While confused by her attitude, Yuji is suddenly ambushed from above by a cursed spirit. His quick reflexes allow him to slice apart the curse with his cursed tool. Gojo believes that Yuji is already crazy enough to be an effective sorcerer, as he has no hesitation fighting curses despite being a normal student before. In order to be an effective sorcerer, a necessary amount of craziness is needed to deal with the grotesque nature of curses. This field test is meant to confirm how crazy Nobara is. Inside the building, Nobara faces a cursed corpse that has taken the form of a possessed mannequin. Using her hammer and nails, Nobara forces the curse to reveal itself. Curses from the city are far stronger than those from the countryside, growing in strength with the population since they are born from human emotions. The cursed corpse stands off with Nobara, but its head is destroyed by her nails as cursed energy flows through them. Nobara discovers a small child hiding, but the curse takes the boy hostage, showcasing its intelligence. Nobara surrenders to protect the boy, but the curse threatens to kill the child despite her surrender. Suddenly, Yuji breaks in through the rear wall, cuts off the arm of the curse, and frees the boy. Yuji secures the hostage, and the curse attempts to flee. Nobara uses her straw doll technique on the severed arm, exorcising the curse by piercing the arm and her straw doll with a nail. Yuji receives Nobara's thanks, and the boy is returned home. Gojo offers to take them to dinner as a reward, and Nobara remembers she needs to get her things from the coin locker in Harajuku. She orders Yuji to do it, and despite his refusal, Nobara argues that they won thanks to her cursed technique. When Yuji looks to Megumi for backup, the other first year remains silent, busy on his phone. Gojo claims Megumi is pouting because he had to sit out of the exercise. Okay guys, this is the end of the first part of What If Yuji Was an Uchiha. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another part, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. With that out the way, this is Demonic Saiyan saying bye.